I Don't Smoke by Tinfoil Hatter. Dubbed by Blueberry. Summary. You will both be undertaking long-term stealth missions elsewhere, but you won't be operating together for the most part. Dazai-kun. You've heard of UA High School, right? Of course I have. It's the most popular hero school in Japan or something. Now you're gonna tell me that I get to live my dreams and become a hero. Dazai jokes. The other man makes no sound, and Dazai turns to look at him. Wait, you're serious? Mori sighs. Dazai-kun, you will be infiltrating UA High School and posing as a student there. You've already got some experience in stealth training, but it would be a shame to let such a valuable executive go. Chuya and Dazai are sent on missions to infiltrate opposite sides of the two parties that Mori has deemed a threat to the Mafia, and to simply gather information from both sides. Is there more to this assignment than they will be informed of? Chapter 1. Home is a fickle world. Dazai sprawls himself across the floor of his home, letting the breeze flutter through his hair through the half-open door. A few red leaves peck their way through the dark hunk of metal with the autumn fall breeze. His eyes track them as they settle into a few stray half-written reports tucked away. He's thankful for the fact that neither hot nor cold weather at the moment, which means that his room will stay at a fairly nice temperature during the daytime. Nighttime, though, is another story. At least the bandages keep him somewhat warm when the migrate blankets of his bed refuse to. He needs to buy another quilt to add to his bed. Now he thinks about it. Home sweet home. There's a security of exciting work to do in the Mafia. Even if the resolution of the Dragonhead conflict, Dazai never thought he'd say that. He hates work. He hates it even more than looking at Mori. And the conflict kept him apart frequently, as the boss of the Port Mafia was continuously fretting over one death or another. But now everything is back to tentative and normal. It's boring. Where's that excitement? The sole good event this past month has been the newfound friendship between the low-ranking grunt Oda Sakonosuke and suspicious information keeper Sakuchi Ango. By the continuous meetings of the Bar Lupin, at the same time as the freaky coincidence, literally soulmates. He keeps telling them it is nice to have drinking buddies, besides Chuya, who has been recently become a full member of the Port Mafia. He doesn't really have any other acquaintances. Plus, Chuya's taste in wine can't beat an old-fashioned. Dazai sits up in a swift motion, searching the floor for his phone. Should he go and bug Chuya? Dazai wonders if the janitor would slip on a banana peel if he conventionally placed one in every doorway. Ugh. But he's already seen plenty of Chuya during work hours. Blech. Grasping his phone, he messages someone else. Light shines through the falling leaves like a princess dance painting with colors of red and orange. Dazai's footsteps patter along the alleyway near silence, squeaking every few steps on occasional pieces of trash or cigarette stub. Somehow, this alleyway feels more like home than anywhere else ever was. He enters the small bar to see Oda already there, sitting in his usual seat by the bar. He's got a bit of look on his face, which is not uncommon for the adult. Oda-saku! Dazai calls out, waving excitedly with one hand as he takes a seat right next to him. Afternoon, Dazai. How are you? The older man smiles warmly at the teenager. Somehow, Oda's presence is exactly what Dazai needs. Why, I'm doing horrible. There is nothing to do, Odasaku. Nothing. Dazai's hands shake. Oda's orders back and forth. My life is so boring. Maybe I'll just jump off a bridge on my way to home today to spice things up. If you die today, you'll miss out on drinks tomorrow night, Oda points out, raising an eyebrow. Wouldn't think you like that. You're right. That would be inconvenient for you too, because you'd miss me so much. Whatever will we do? I guess I'll just save my bridge-filled activities for another time. A shame, really. Eliminates hanging his head in mock defeat before brightening up at the glass of whiskey placed in front of him. Oda sighs continuously as he sips away at his own whiskey from between his fingers. Dazai follows similarly. I adopted a few orphans after the dragon head incident, he admits, staring into his glass. Oh, how predictable, Odasaku. Dazai warmly sighs, a ghost smile on his lips. His hands pat the other man's shoulder as if to congratulate him. They needed a home. It was the mafia's fault their parents were killed. They settle into a comfortable silence. It was often like this. The two of them would settle comfortably in the other's presence. Oda is surrounded by stone. It's always a shame he refused to kill. He's just bound to the chains of desire. Dazai might find Oda's idea of not killing to is the faraway dream of becoming an author foolhardy, but he never voices this. Maybe in fear of upsetting the man, or maybe because he likes the determination in his eyes. The kindness is going to get you killed, you know. Dazai turns to find his friend seriously overthinking his usually playful demeanor. Odasaku welcomes the scolding with amusement, but some element of express will change his attitude. Maybe it will. Only time will tell. Almost silence engulfs the small bar, minus the clinking of glasses and the bartender scuttle around. Dazai's phone vibrates, leaving him to abandon his drink of answering the damn thing. Unfortunately, it's time to start some sort of work. He wavers a cheerful goodbye at the older man before hurriedly heading to the mafia headquarters. The closer he gets, the harder he drags his feet until he's barely walking. He's aware that it looks profoundly stupid. But so is Mori. Dazai walks through the massive doors, leading to the head of the Port Mafia's office. Not a single blind is down, leaving the sunlight to stream into the masses of glass. Dazai feels like an ant compared to the massive ceiling. I've come at your beck and call, unfortunately, Dazai complains from the entrance of the large room. The doctor greets him with a disapproving stare. Dazai slumps into the furthest chair away from Mori, mindlessly fiddling with the silver ring he stole from one of the traitors he tortured the other day. The view from the office is a bittersweet sight. This was the room he was given new purpose, as well as the start of new change pulling him down deeper into despair. Oi, shitty Dazai, why didn't you check your texts? I couldn't find the office. Chirio's similar voice echoes through the large room. My, should Chiyo really be this rude in front of the boss? Dazai grins sneakily as he pushes a finger to his cheek in a thinking motion. Shut up, he glares, opting a slow respect by bowing shallowly at Mori. The sly man only smiles, amused at their antics. He's found it a strange function of their dynamic, much to Dazai's displeasure, actually. Anything to do with Mori is gross. I apologize for being late, Mori-san. The redhead takes a seat next to Dazai and stares up at the boss expectantly. He's always looked up to Mori a disproportionate amount, in Dazai's opinion, but that's not to be expected. Mori succeeded where Chuya failed, and even if he doesn't recognize it, he's in a silent awe of his abilities. All right, now that you're both here, I have some serious matters to discuss. Mori's amused style drops into a business smile. One that only means he's only smiling to put on the other person at ease. Dazai straightens up his body when Mori bothers to put a foot in front of him. It's never a good sign. Dazai eyes the papers on his desk and attempt to discern the motives behind the man. You will be undertaking a long stealth missions elsewhere, but you won't be operating together for the most part. Dazai-kun, you've heard of UA High School, right? Of course I have. It's the most popular hero school in all of Japan or something. And now you're gonna tell me that I get to live my dreams and become a hero, Dazai jokes. The older man makes not a single sound, and Dazai turns to look at him, straight in the eyes. The corners of his mouth turn downwards instinctively. Wait, you're serious? I might have to jump off a bridge after all, says airily. But he's already pinning out to watch Bridge's best bet. Dazai sighs exasperatedly. Dazai-kun, you'll be infiltrating UA High School and posing as a student there. You've already got the experience in stealth training, but it would be such a shame to let such a valuable executive go. The bandaged executive recoils, about to say something very important choice of words, but then Mori continues to speak. I'm quite sure you're already aware of why you're heading there, but I'll tell you again. You need to gather information on the Hero School's plans regarding Yokohama, as well as most of the time you'll be monitoring any events in the time you'll be there. Right. Are you sure that's it? What's your other motive? Dazai pushes, ignoring the warning Mori sends from the corner of his eye. I haven't the faintest clue what you're talking about, Dazai. This is quite an important task. Plus, if there is anything I have had the misfortune of forgetting to tell you, surely you can figure it out. Chuya glances between the two geniuses. The tension in the air feels like it's about to cut off its oxygen levels. So, he tries to break it by focusing his attention on himself. Dazai almost scowls at Chuya for breaking the anticipation. That was the one thing he'd possibly get Mori to crack. Excuse me, boss, but if Dazai is busy doing the other assignment, why am I here? Oh, yes, Chuya-kun. You'll be doing work on an infiltration mission as well. But you'll be joining the League of Villains. Easy work for a former gang leader. Wouldn't you agree? He smiles, laying on the compliment's thick to appease Chuya. Dazai is mildly surprised at the fact that Mori is trusting the proficient mafia leader, but with his, as he already knows that he's kept a tight leash on Chuya in order to make sure he doesn't rebel against the mafia. Of course, Dazai knows the other 15-year-old wouldn't do it. He's sworn loyalty to Mori, much unlike Dazai, who has sworn loyalty to no one. The League of Villains? What does that have anything to do with UA High? Chuya inquires, racking his brain around what he knows to be the source of a riptide group of criminals that had only recently started making a name for themselves in the underworld. Even though Yokohama is so secluded, the Port Mafia keeps tackles on criminal groups near them. Since Mayafustu is only a few hours away, they are aware of a few criminal syndicates. Although Dazai has the faintest idea why Mori would be thinking they would be important, unless there's something he's not being told. Dazai interrupts the conversation, slamming his hand into Mori's desk in triumph. Apparently, the League of Villains is planning to attack UI High. What a bunch of losers. Thanks for the input. It wasn't needed. But yes, the League of Villains will be attacking UA High School sometimes this year. You'll both be sharing an appointment at my Fusu while you're away. And when will we start this mission? Dazai raises his eyebrow at Mori, who only looks at him, mildly irritated at being interrupted again. You will commence this operation 3 months from now, as the entrance exams for UI High will be tested in late February. Chiku, I've hired a professional to teach you the basics of stealth and infiltration tactics. For the next couple months, you will need to do Dazai's research and study. Yes, boss. Chia bows his head. What if you join some high school, but what about my mafia duties? Come on, Mori, this is torture. I have so much more valuable in the Port Mafia. Mori sharpens his gaze to Dazai threateningly. I will expect you to do well, Dazai-kun, or there will be consequences, and we both know you'd rather not experience. Dazai clamps his mouth shut, seizing up. Yes, Mori. Once the boss of the Mafia appears content with the two, he pulls out 2 separate sticks, stapled together paper. He had been laying around the right of his person. As he hands them out, he says, these contain all the information you will need for both of your missions. Please take the time to read them. You are dismissed. Dazai grumbles venomously, thanking Mori while Chuya gives him a polite thank you. It's not particularly polite. The former streetlight rat like Chuya, he guesses it'll have to do. He'll fit in with the wimpy organization. The 2 Mafia members walk out, elbowing each other. They begin training for their departure of Yokohama. 2.5 months before Chuya and Dazai leave Yokohama. I understand you can't get away from such blatant disrespect towards Mori. Aren't you, somewhat indebted to him? Chuya comments during one of the days the 2 of them find themselves in each other's company, somewhat willingly. But Chuya, that old man deserves it. Plus, if anything, he's indebted to me. Dazai smiles almost fondly, as if he's reminiscing on something long ago. Why would you hold such a grudge against him? Chuya grumbles, adding some cheese into the sizzling meal in front of them. A dumb dog like you wouldn't understand genius or intellectual reasoning. Dazai answers, not giving any more information for the shorter of the 2. Huh? I'm the one cooking here. I'll literally serve you a cooked boot next time. I'm not joking, Dazai. Dazai jumps up, mischievously twirling around. He bats his eyelashes at Chuya, holding himself daintily as he sprawls across the kitchen island. His hand moves up to grasp the other calloused palm. Chuya jerks away immediately. Chuya, would you do that for me? How romantic, Dazai says, undeterred as he reaches out for him again. Go to hell, he scoffs and brings the 2 steaming balls of rice topped with what seems to look like pork. And another delicious meal made by Chuya. Hey, Chuya, ever thought of dropping out of the Mafia to become a chef? Dazai teases, lighting up with glee, when Chuya goes red in the face from either embarrassment or simply because it was from his last straw from Dazai. Although the food does smell great, Dazai never has an appetite. Chuya stares at him for slightly too long, as if it's Meeting him, deterred by the action, he starts to eat. Oh, shut up, Dazai. I'm not a good cook. You're just below average. Chuya deadpans, dragging Dazai into the chair across from him. I'm wounded by your words, Chibi. Next time Chuya does serve Dazai a boot, it's the part where only pair Dazai owns 2 months before Dazai and Chuya leave Yokohama. Dazai stares up at the ceiling of Chuya's apartment. Chuya is much easier to get into on his own. He often lounges around in it when he can't be bothered to lug himself all the way to the junkyard and piss the other boy off. It's a real hobby of his, although the floor of the luxury apartment is carpeted, which makes it great to sit on in the winter. Since Chuya's pay is pretty high, probably higher than most other members' his rank, play to convince Chuya not to turn on Port Mafia. He can easily afford a higher-end apartment in the Port Mafia territory. Dazai now has a resident sofa that he's been using for everything. His favorite piece of furniture. With fewer duties due for preparations for the mission, he's been going over information with Chuya. Lots of things like knowledge about heroes and history from pre-Quark era. Dazai's been begrudgingly teaching Chuya about manipulation tactics. Although today, that's not what he's over. Dazai's eyes flicker over to the bright lights twinkling in the large pine tree. It's Christmas Eve, and Chuya insisted that he stay to celebrate. Dazai doesn't really celebrate holidays, but apparently the sheep celebrate it every year. Since it's technically Dazai's fault Chuya isn't with them anymore, he insisted Dazai celebrate with him as a replacement. At first, he was unamused by the idea, but now he's actually excited. He even brought gifts for Oda and Ango. Dazai perks up when the doorbell starts jingling, pushing himself from lying position to sit up curiously. Chuya's head pokes in, one hand holding the bottle carefully placed and using his hat in the rack of the apartment. You're here so early. Don't tell me you're actually excited. Dazai his brow and grinning idea. Dazai crosses his arms and shoves his hand away from Chuya. I'll have you know that I'm a very festive person. You're just after gifts and alcohol. Alcohol? Dazai head swerves back hungrily. He clambers over the couch to stand in front of Chuya like a loyal dog, hands clasped together. Let's get this party started. Chuya sighs but doesn't disagree. Well, wait until I get changed and get the cookies out of the tin on the counter. There should be some candy canes in the pantry, too. He places his wine and some takeout on the coffee table. Don't you dare eat or drink anything before I get back. I'll know. Yes, Nakahara Chuya, sir. Satellite does the furniture as well. Dazai salutes from his spot in the doorway as Chuya closes the door to his bedroom door with no response. Dazai shockingly obeys Chuya's orders. Sitting up, snacks on the cutesy plate next to the takeout. He peeks over the plastic bag to figure out what's in it. There's definitely rice in there. Whatever Chuya bought, Dazai will eat. It's not like he has any other preferences. He even goes as far as his way to get wine glasses, telling he's going to wait for Chuya to return. Shower is stopped at least, so he's close to getting dressed. Long last, Chuya walks out with his hair in a tiny ponytail in the back, and some loose-fitting pants and a sweater. Wow, I'm shocked. You did everything I asked. Chuya praises sarcastically. He sits cross-legged on the floor and reaches for a bottle of wine to open. If Dazai has to guess, it's some sort of sweet red. He's more excited to get drunk than taste alcohol, though. Dazai sits on the edge of the counter, melting into the armrest. It's the only thing supporting his body.
Okay, time for presents. You're supposed to unwrap them on Christmas Day, but I don't give two shits about Christmas tradition. Christmas Day is usually spent nursing hangovers. So the real party is the night before. Chia points. Dazai narrowing his eyes. You better have brought one or I'm not giving you yours. Yes, I did. Now you go first. Dazai orders, placing his palms facing outward direction Chia. He closes his eyes in anticipation. Somewhat heavy object rocked in his palms, making his hands drop for a second before grasping the object tightly. You don't have to close your eyes. It's wrapped, idiot. It's like, I knew that. I just wanted a bit of extra surprise there. Dazai defends himself, but his ears still burn red, and Chuya can see it too. He slowly unwraps the ugly red and green wrapping paper, tugging at it until the object underneath relieves itself. Dazai doesn't say anything, stare. Chuya starts to rumble. I thought, since you don't value any material gifts, you want something you could use, and I don't know, make memories with. He trails off, waiting for a harsh and cruel remark from Dazai. I like it. Thanks, Choo-Choo. You're the best. Dazai snaps a selfie with the two of them with his newfound camera. It's a somewhat expensive model from what he can tell, but it's also practical. He knows Chuya's pay can afford whatever camera he wanted, but he's still thankful for the gift, considering he hasn't been given anything for ages. Chuya then slams his hand on the coffee table, remanding his gift. But I'm so shy. What if Chibi doesn't like my gift? Dazai cries out and clutches to his chest. I would be forever heartbroken. I'd pack my bags and leave. To Poland? You better not play with me, Dazai. I'm taking your gift back. Dazai gasps, bringing his hands up to his mouth. You wouldn't. I guess I'll have to give it to you. Close your eyes. He brings the gift out of his secret hiding place, behind the Christmas tree, cursing at those little prickly pine needles that prick him like knives. But finally he places the gift on Chuya's head with a satisfied grin. What is this? Why is it so long? Dazai! Chuya growls, bouncing off the poor form of the bandaged teen. Dazai squeaks and folds himself from the spout on the lounge in order to try to stop his impending death. He punts the abnormally large top hat at Dazai. The worst part is, it's actually really nice looking, and exactly Chuya taste. It's just, as tall as an average skateboard, perhaps even longer than one. Help, I'm being attacked! Dazai screams as he ducks Chuya's vicious kicks aimed at his head. The real gift is inside it, I really swear, please spare me, kind sir. Chuya stops abruptly, looking inside the hat suspiciously. Thrusts his hand to find an envelope. You better not be playing with me. Warns Dazai, who takes a few steps back and precaution. Out of the envelope comes a ticket to a sold-out concert she has been dying to go to. He almost drops in shock, whipping his head around to the now smug Dazai. Well, thanks, I guess. I'm not gonna even ask how you got this, because they were definitely sold on every website. Yeah, somewhat sincerely. Okay, let's drink. 1.5 months before Dazai and Chuya leave Yokohama. Dazai would be far away for 3 years, but he didn't particularly care about heroes, and never did as a child. There was just something that Eagles fueled by fame that just annoyed him. He sees nothing wrong with the desire for fame, but having a whole system built on it was bound to fail eventually. Personally, Dazai never wanted to get involved. He couldn't get involved if he tried anyways. His fate has always been trusted by the underworld long ago. He is destined to stay on the dark side of society for the rest of his life. It's just how it is. Simple fact. That's how grass is green. Waters need to survive. There's never been an alternative to think about. His attention turns to his laptop. Dazai can't find that much to use for computers, except the occasional soap opera and search for information. The latter reason is why he's sitting at the laptop with his legs on the residential couch at Chuya's. With one click, he finds the site he's been searching for. The official UA website glares through the screen. It may prove to be a challenge to hack, but he should polish up his skills. Hours pass really quick. See how he also smiles at the screen in triumph. Finally, he had been able to hack into the UA database. That golden rat, she is going to have fun tormenting him after this stupid assignment. The data proves to be interesting. In his opinion, nothing out of his expectations. They are going to be fighting robots for the entrance exam, followed by a written test. He'll know he'll pass the latter with flying colors, but Dazai is unsure about the practical exam. He's never been great at the physical stuff. That's more Chuya's thing. Brutes aren't ever very high on the hierarchy, regardless of what side they're on. Dazai prefers to have others do his bidding. After looking over the actual UA website, he discovers that he can, in fact, bring support items under 2 conditions. 1, they have to be handmade, and 2, they have to be approved by the UA staff. Goody! He gets to work with the newfound determination to create something that he can use as a backbone for the practical exam. It's never too late to become an engineer. What the fuck are those? Chuya asks, staring at the items haphazardly strewn around his own living room. Dazai's attention is diverted from his current project to the newly arrived teen staring down at him, with arms crossed threateningly. He waves in a friendly manner, hoping that serves as an apology for making a mess on his floor. Don't be so vulgar, Chuya. As a matter of fact, these are my wonderful support items for UA, produced by yours truly. My house is just too small to cater to these things, so I turned to my knight in shining armor. Chuya, Prince of Ugly Hats. Maybe it isn't a good idea to provoke Chuya, but it doesn't matter. He wouldn't kick Chuya out when the weather's cold. Why, you Chuya fumes about storm away until Dazai catches his attention. You want me to demonstrate? Dazai asks with a sly grin, luring Chuya into who is obviously interested, no matter how hard he tries to hide it. I've got a few knives for lots of different uses. I got a designated gun that can fire an array of bullet types, disguised as a grappling gun. Dazai holds up the small pistol-like gun. Chu leans forward in a display of the objects, observing them. His hands run along the knives, running smoothly while he hums in approval. I didn't know you could make items like these. Dazai gives Chuya a smug look while he points a gun at Chuya's hat on the dining table. Of course I can. The stuff is all easy for a genius like me. Your sluck brain can't keep up. He laughs mostly, chest puffing out with pride. He didn't even know how to make support items until a few days ago, but Chuya does need to know that. Does not need to know that. I should have complimented you. Chuya sighs and deflects onto his couch. 1 month before Dazai and Chuya leave Yokohama, Dazai passes the remaining days leading up to his transition to Maifusu, tinkering with mechanics and reading up on Maifusu history. Naturally, he also makes time to visit Odo whenever he can, sometimes convincing Ango to tag along. His last drink was too slightly bittersweet, but he makes them promise to catch up with him when he comes back from to Yokohama. He ends up packing his bags that same night, still intoxicated, but somehow not missing a single item. The day Dazai and Chuya leave Yokohama, the two boys peek through the door of the apartment they're going to be living in for the foreseeable future. That was very simple. 2 bedrooms apartment with basic needs like bathroom and kitchen. I can't believe I have to live with you, Chuya complains, dragging his own suitcase into the room. Dazai laughs evilly before answering. I'm most excited myself, actually. I've always wanted a roommate. Oh, I wonder if I can make coffee with energy drinks instead of water. Chuya shudders, making sure that the coffee machine is tucked safely in his room. Daddy doesn't really have a reason to shop for any personal belongings, but he knows they will need some basic household items for very soon. He is counting on his partner to buy everything they need. Dazai just wants a blanket and some energy drinks. Oh, and some more bandages. Dazai walks out of his room into the usual attire. Chuya is nowhere to be found. Strange. He's quite curious about what Chuya's assignment is, and the specifics. Dazai sort of forgot to ask. A bit preoccupied those months. Sort of. He'll see if Chuya still has the information packet Mari gave him. The retirement project process mostly has to occur before the school year starts, considering neither of them have any idea when they plan to strike UA. However, will the UA take him in, though? Does Mori have connections with them already? As he leaves his room to do a bit of shopping, he realizes there were a few people in business attire like him. How strange. Maybe Fusu has a new anti-suits trend on social media. Is it not normal to wear them? He'll head back home before buying a few probably not necessary items. A few days later, Dazai pokes his head around the kitchen counter to see his roommate looking a bit distressed in the doorway of their shared apartment. Chuya, he explains gleefully, waving with his free hand. Dazai grins at the short teen. What the fuck do you think you're doing? There's smoke everywhere. Chuya dashes into the kitchen, waving his hat around in an attempt to clear the smoke. See, about that, I was gonna make pancakes for dinner, but obviously I didn't turn out well. He holds up the burnt mushy on his pan, waving around the smoke that almost makes his way into his eyes. Can we please just get takeout? Chuya pleads before putting his shoes back on. Dazai opens the windows near the kitchen. Sure. Muttering profanities, Chuya grabs Dazai's arm as they take the elevator downstairs. It's an oddly small elevator, he thinks. He stares at his reflection in the mirror. Why do elevators always have mirrors? It's a real mystery. While we're here, we might as well explore, Dazai suggests, eagerly pushing Chuya out of the ground floor with one hand on each shoulder. That's actually a pretty good idea. The duo walks through the streets of Marifuzu. So despite it already being late at night, shops are still bustling with customers. Laughter echoes through the streets with workers in their Friday night drinks. Dazai marvels at the greenery in particular parts of the city they found themselves in. Seems like a tree rehabilitation plan, by what the signs say. They both hold a small-looking takeout restaurant to order food. Looks like they've got a small line, but the service looks decently fast. Dazai forces Chuya to stand in line for him and get whatever while he runs off to the little kid. There's vague yelling coming from the redhead, but since he doesn't want to lose this spot in line, Dazai is safe from his wrath. Thankfully, Chuya does end up buying food for Dazai, even with him running off. Chuya, let's eat on the rooftop, Dazai urges eagerly, pushing his free arm and the other he has food in and putting towards the mid-high building and they is across the fire escape.